Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Spiritual Infinity. And my guest today is Dr. Greta Chamberlain, who's a transformational healer. And she's going to tell us her story of where it all started, maybe in her childhood, whatever brought her to where she is today. And Greta is in Chicago, Illinois. I'm here in London. Beautiful weather. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm saying that I shouldn't really say that because Greta is in Chicago and it's not so nice. It's still cold. But I'm sure her story is going to warm everybody up and give us an insight and some guidance to all of you who are going through similar things, to know it's part of the journey. It's part of us having to awaken to who we are, the creator within and without, and that we need to reconnect so that we can overcome any obstacles, any challenges that we face in our life. We are capable. We were built from birth and beyond for this journey. So without much ado, welcome, Greta, in Chicago. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for having me today. It's going to be great.
Thank you. So, Greta, let's begin. Where does your story begin? So let's begin at the beginning.
Oh, when you say at the beginning, that's going to be when I was a child. Yeah, it really started then. I had certain abilities. I could hear things. I could give the probability of someone that was getting ready to die, that type of thing. So my mother, she used to always tell me, don't tell anybody you do these things, you know. And I was really small. I was only, I was young, and I'm going, why is that? She said, because people will think, I think she used the word crazy, or, and she told me, she said, don't do that. Don't discuss this with anybody. But we lived with my great grandfather and great grandmother in Chicago. I grew up there, and they owned a very old looking, it was Victorian style house. So it had this long staircase. And my whole thing was I wanted to beat the voices that I heard, because I'd hear my name, Greta, Greta. And I'm going, uh-huh. For some odd reason, I look back on it, and I don't think I was afraid of it. It became a game, because my whole thing was, let me run, because we lived on the second floor. So I said, let me run down the steps. I'm going to get down to the bottom before they can call my name. And then I would run down, and I'd still hear, Greta, Greta. And then I'd try. So then I'd say, okay, I'm going to get him this time. And I don't know how long I played that game, but I did it for a while. So I'd be at the bottom of the steps, and I'm going, okay, here we go. And I remember taking a big, deep breath and just, running as fast as I could. But those things always called me, Greta. So finally I gave up. I think when they saw that I was giving up, they decided to give up as well. So I didn't hear them anymore. I grew up, my mother placed me in a Catholic school environment because my father was Catholic. And at that time, they thought that if you went to a Catholic school, that you were going to receive a better education than if you went to a public school. So, of course, in the Catholic school, I was really given a lot of education in religion and saints and the whole shebang. And I remember when they used to tell us about the Lady of Fatima, and I think they were the Lady of Lourdes, Mother Mary, who was the mother of Jesus. And they talked about how these children got to see, Mother Mary. So one day when I was sleeping, I was about 10 years old now, or maybe 9, something like that. And remember, my bedroom is up on the second floor. So I saw this figure of a woman moving from the window that was on the right side of me, because I'm facing east. So she was coming from the south and moving across my bed in front of me, not on top of the bed, but in front of the bed, and moved out and went out the wall that was on the other side. And she had the garb that she had on was with the long veil. You know how the nuns used to dress in
Yeah.
the so she had the long veil, and just like she was pictured in the statues of Mother Mary. So of course I said, "Wow, I've seen Mother Mary." I was so excited, Sensei. I was just so excited. I can't even begin to explain it. And I couldn't wait until my mom woke up so I could tell her that I had seen Mother Mary. I couldn't wait until I got to school to tell
Mm.
all the kids and to tell nuns that I too saw Mother Mary, just like the children at Lourdes and Fatima.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh. And what did they think?
I didn't even get a chance to tell them because when my mother woke up, I told her, I said, "Mom, I've seen Mother Mary. She came right through the window and went out across my bed and went out the side on the wall." And she said, "Greta, you did not see Mother Mary."
Oh,
I was,
what?
I was distraught. She said, "You saw the woman that lives in the basement of the house." So she was a ghost.
Oh,
Yes, that's what I saw. And she showed herself to me. And so I was so disappointed,
oh,
because now I couldn't go to school and tell the children that I too was blessed to see her. But the one thing it taught me was that my mother could see, because she told me, she says, "Greta, you didn't see Mother Mary? That's that's the woman who lives in the basement." I knew I didn't like that basement in the first place. But anyway, I didn't like going down in there by myself.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So I was disappointed nonetheless. And then around that same time, in the neighborhood, we used to play in front of Mr. Lawrence's house.
Uh-huh.
He was an elderly gentleman, and he was just so wonderful. We just loved him dearly. And then one day I told my mother, I said, "Mom," I said, "Mr. Lawrence is coming to die." And she said, "Why do you say that?" I said, "I know he's coming to die soon, you know." So within 2 days, he had died.
Oh,
So then that's how I learned, okay, I can know when somebody's getting ready to make their transition.
mm,
Right. So there are 3 things. I learned that I could see other things. I learned that I could hear other things. And I learned that I could uh, know when someone was getting ready to make their transition. So those 3 things as a child I was aware of, you know. And because of what my mother said to me, "Don't tell anybody," then I became silent. I wouldn't tell anyone that I could do these things.
okay.
Mhm.
And I very much, and we're going to probably talk on that a little later about death being a transition. It is not the end. It is very much a transition. But so you were around 9 years old?
Mhm. Now,
Okay.
it started maybe, you could say, hearing the voices maybe around 7.
Okay. Oh, right. So prior to that, you didn't hear anything, you didn't see anything, you didn't feel anything.
No, I wasn't even focused on that. I was going through kindergarten and first grade, and just enjoying being in grammar school or elementary school, as they call it too. I didn't start in nursery school. My mother tried to take me to nursery school, and she tried to trick me by saying I'd be able to eat, drink milk and have graham crackers, and to try to influence me. Yes, you're going to love nursery school. Well, she took me there for 3 days, and every day she brought me, I cried. So
Oh,
finally, the lady who was running the nursery school said, "I think Greta needs to stay home," and I was so glad I got to stay home. Uh, I wasn't
oh,
ready for that. I was not ready for nursery school. Yeah.
okay. So at 7, this started. At 9, you had this vision and the man dying. And then as you got older, what happened?
Um, as I got older, I started going through questioning the spirituality, questioning the religion that I was taught. Is that the only thing? So I started to explore other things just a little bit, but not too much. Uh, so when I was around 18, now I'm in college, okay? So a friend comes over, he says, Greta, uh, I, I have found this religion. And he says, it's wonderful. I said, oh, okay. Because I'm a very open person, as you
Yeah.
when we go through our discussion this morning.
Mm.
So I said, sure, I'd like to try it out. Well, it turned out to be Baha'ism. Bah-
Ah,
So I learned about Baha'ism. I studied that for 2 years, and that took me into a whole different way. It took me into oneness because to see that everything is one, that was my beginning at
oh,
around,
lovely. And what age was that?
around 18 years old.
18. So
Mhm.
you studied Baha'ism, and that took you there. And how did that influence your life?
It influenced my life because I had coming up in my high school days. Well, of course, I'm going on 79. I'll be 79 in June. So I have to take you back to the 1950s because I was born in 1947. So
Mhm.
in the States in the 1950s, you started going through racism, through the whole civil rights movement. See, I grew up in that era. So I was very militant, to say the least. And the high school that I was placed in here was very racist, um, against Blacks because the neighborhood was changing. My mother bought a house and she sent me to a public school. So that was an interesting experience for me. And there was the really solid beginning of me knowing that I was a Black person. Uh,
Let me just stop you there. When you were at the Catholic school,
mhm.
did you did you witness or did you feel that there was any racism there at that time?
No, because all of the students that were in the school were Black. But very interestingly, all the teachers were white.
Okay.
Because they were all at that time, they didn't have any secular teachers until I got to sixth grade, and there was only one. We were taught by nuns.
Okay.
For Sister Joanne, I had joined the orchestra. We had a school orchestra.
Mhm.
She would tell us, which was the same thing that I heard at home, that you are Black, so you have to, well, actually, at that time, we were called Negroes. You're
Mhm.
Negro, so you have to um, do the best. You have to be the best that you can be. You know, grew up learning that. My great grandparents put because they came from the South during
Mhm.
the Great Migration, uh,
Mhm.
African American history. Many
Mhm.
African Americans moved from the South to come to the North
Yes.
to avoid racism.
Yeah.
So their whole philosophy for me as I was growing up as a child is that I had to be good. I had to study. I
Yeah.
I had to learn. Learning was very important.
Important, because that was the way one could step up and probably show people that you are human. You are like the whites. You can learn. Okay, so from 18 you took Baha'ism, but as you went on, you started to um, encounter racism. So how did your
Well,
religion help
this
you?
started the racism, my understanding that I was different started when I was about 10 years old.
Oh.
My mother my mother believed in when school was out, you still had to do activities. So
Mm.
she had me going here and there and learning this and learning that. And she sent me to the Singer Sewing School. I don't think it exists now. The machines do, but not the school. And
Mm.
I was with other children learning how to sew. I had to put if you saw the dress, I should have saved it because but I was proud of it, even though it looked crooked and whatever, you know. But when I had a friend, we liked each other, but she was white. And
Mhm.
one day after school was over, the senior sewing school during the summer was over, she took me to her she said, "Come with me. Don't go home yet." I said, "Okay, I'll come with you." So she said, "Let's go in here." She said, "My family belongs to this club, so come in with me." Well, we got into the part where I could see everything, and there was like a doorman there, and he informed her, "She cannot come in. She cannot come in." And I realized because it was something else he said that I can't remember verbatim, but it indicated to me I cannot come in because I am not of the race to be accepted to come in.
And what age was this?
I was about maybe 10, 9, 10 years old. So that was my first encounter.
Mhm.
I could be in a position where I would not be accepted because I did not look like that particular person. Yeah. So when I went to high school, it was definitely a challenging time there in high school. And so I became a very militant person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was very extremely militant. And
Oh, that rocks and boats.
yeah, so when I became Baha'i, I studied Baha'ism for about 2 years because if you want to be a Baha'i, you just sign a card. There's no baptism, there's no formality. You just say, I believe in these teachings and so forth.
Mhm.
So I did that. And I stayed a Baha'i for about 20 some years or so. But in those teachings, it taught me to accept all people,
Mhm.
all cultures, all religions, because the Baha'ism is based, one of the tenets is oneness. So that's what I was able to release the militancy then, and then to take on a different role. So I graduated, I was teaching school. Uh, and then my third year, I decided that I want to go teach somewhere else outside of the United States. So my second year, I started sending applications all over, and nobody, asked me to come. I said, "Oh my goodness!" So then one day, I don't even know how I came about knowing about them, but anyway, the Peace Corps
Yeah.
asked me to, I went to listen to that. I said, what the heck? I haven't found a job outside the United States. And I've already given in, told them, this is by I'm in my third year of teaching now. I've already given that I put in the application for a leave of absence for 2 years. And now I got to go somewhere because they filled my position. So I got to find work. So when the Peace Corps came, I said, what the heck? I wasn't looking to go to the Peace Corps, but it became an alternative, because they were ready to accept me. And I said, okay, I'll go do it. I did the Peace Corps. So it was so funny because they sent me my position and they said, you're going to Sierra Leone. Well, out of my lack of geographical knowledge, what did I do? I'm looking in because I did not ask to go to Africa. I asked to go to South America.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to practice my Spanish. I wanted to, learn how to speak fluent Spanish. So when I get the letter, I open it up and I'm looking through the maps all over South America. And I said, my God, where's Sierra Leone? I can't find it. And so I called my mom. She's at work. I told her, of course, I'm 23 now. And I called her. I said, Mom, I got my letter. I can go, but I don't know. I said, I've looked for Sierra Leone in South America and I can't find it. And my mother, she said, she was at work. She said, Greta, you're
looking the wrong place.
She said, you're on the wrong continent. Got to go to Africa, Greta. And I said, Africa? I'm going to Africa? I said, oh my God. And so
the creator had a different path for you. That's why you couldn't get a job or nobody was answering, because the creator wanted you somewhere else.
So I said I took it because I got a chance. I minored in science, so I got a chance to go and teach teachers discovery science or inquiry science in Sierra Leone. So I trained teachers, but at the time, it was wow. I said, okay, I've got to go because, my job is not available to me. I've taken a 2-year leave of absence. So off I went to Africa, to Sierra Leone. Yeah. And I stayed in the Peace Corps for about, I was shy maybe about 3 months to complete the 2 years, because I found a gentleman that I fell in love with and we got married. Yeah, there you go. And we moved from Sierra Leone to Liberia, and that's where he died. So so he died there. Yeah, so we were married for about 3 years before he passed.
Oh. Were you, those 3 years, were you really happy?
You know what? I learned a lot, Senzi. I learned a lot because as a Peace Corps volunteer, you don't live like you're a visitor. You had to really, they train you to, we were in the city, but we only stayed in the city a week, and then they moved us deeper and deeper up country. And the final thing is that we lived in a village, and you had to learn how to, do
how to live in a village. Yeah, live the way they live, do the things they do, eat the way they eat. Yes.
Absolutely. So I became very independent. I started learning the language. I started learning Creole, but Creole in some places is not accepted. I haven't been back to Africa, but I'm sure it's very similar. Although it's made a lot of progress in a lot of ways. gaining their independence, financial independence, and so forth. So
Mm.
a whole different kind of a different ball game. Uh, but yeah, I stayed in Africa for 4 years total, and then I came back home. I got married again after my husband, first husband, died. I had to mourn. They couldn't figure out how I was going to mourn his death, and they decided there was a gentleman there that my husband and I knew. We called him Pa Kaba, and he was like a father to me, a
Mhm.
surrogate father. So then we decided that I would mourn as a Bambara woman uh, from Mali because he was Bambara.
Okay.
So that's I mourned for 40 days and followed the strict regimen and rituals for a Bambara woman who was mourning for the loss of her husband. Yeah. So I did that for 40 days.
And then after that, you came back to the States.
Yes. My second husband and I decided that he wanted to go to school. I wanted to go back to school. So I said, okay, we might as well go to the States. And that's where we were. And we stayed married for about 3 years. And then the marriage, we decided that we needed to terminate that relationship and move on. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So your second marriage took place in Africa.
Yes.
Okay, so it was another Sierra Leone.
No, both my husbands, well, my first husband was Guinean. He came out of Guinea,
Guinea. Okay.
right? My second husband was, oh my goodness, I can't remember the tribal name now, but his father was Sierra Leonean, his mother was Guinean.
Okay.
Oh,
So you had your second marriage there. Both of you came back to the States. Eventually that dissolved, but you went back to school. And what took place from there?
what took place from there was then I learned that I could assist people by just praying for them. So people started asking me, Greta, will you pray for me? Like Grace called me. Well, we worked together. I was teaching in Chicago, and Grace said, well, Greta, will you pray for me? I can't remember exactly how all that really started, but I could pray for people. I would pray and fast.
Mhm.
I would fast because in Baha'ism, I learned about fasting. And of course, I learned about fasting through my first husband. Oh, well, both of my husbands were Islamic. So
Okay.
I practiced Islam for a while too. And Baha'ism is very close to Islam in certain ways.
Mhm.
So the transition was easy. But I knew that if I prayed and if I fasted, I could and just concentrated on something for someone that it would manifest for them. Right. Yeah. So I was doing that. Yeah. Okay. Your
Yeah,
question.
yeah, let me ask you something. I need to take you back because you started praying and you found that whatever you prayed for that person, it manifested. When you were in Africa, how did your spirituality, if at all, help you? Was anything on towards, was there anything showing that, well, through my spirituality this came? Was it maybe you prayed for your husband? How did your spirituality manifest when you were in Africa?
I'm glad you're asking me that question because that is the main thing, and I just missed it. So I'm glad you brought me back there. Yes, when I got to Africa, I was I had never gone to a psychic in my life. I didn't know anything about going to anybody's psychic. You know, my parents, nobody taught me that. I got with Kamara, his name was Muhammad Kamara. I got with Kamara and he started teaching me. And he said, Well, you know that he told me about conjuring. And I said, I had never heard about anything about conjuring anything. And he brought out, he said, well, here's the book. It was the seventh book of Moses. You can still buy it, you know, and it's a real thin book. But when you open it up, it has all these sigils that you can draw on the ground or draw on your floor with chalk. And then you get in the center of the sigil. And then you can conjure, you call the spirit that's attached to that sigil to come to you. Well, he used to do that. So I'm going, gee, I'm a very curious person, Cynthia. I can let you know that. So I said, well, let me try that. So he said, well, there's only one thing about that, Greta. I said, what? He said, if you forget how to send them back, they're
They
going
stay with you.
and they're going to be very angry with you to boot. Because,
Of
and
course, you brought them. They want to go back. You can't. They're gonna vroom.
so that scared the crap out of me. So,
Don't bother.
so
Don't bother. I'll leave it.
I that scared me. But prior to that, when we were in Sierra Leone, he used to pass out.
Oh.
Yes, all of a sudden he would just pass out. I remember one day we were at home and he passed out and he's on the floor. I'm looking down at him. I said, what is wrong with you? And I had to wake him up. I said, oh my God, don't tell me he's dead. That's what I was thinking. Or because you don't have an ambulance, can't come and rush you to the hospital. So I said, oh my God. And so I told him, I said, Kamara, I remember we were standing waiting for a lorry in Sierra Leone. We lived in the town called Yonibana. It was up country. And I don't remember. I think we were going back to Freetown. And I told him, I said, Kamara, you've got to stop passing out. Because what happens if you pass out here on the road? What am I going to do? I'll have to be able to pick you up and he said, don't worry, Greta, don't worry. I'm all right. I said, well, we need to take you to the doctor. He said, don't worry about it, Greta, don't worry about it. I said, okay. So now, one night we're asleep, right? I hear this deep voice come out of his body. We're laying in bed. I'm looking, I turn over and I look at him and he's talking. And I said to myself, okay, he's talking in his sleep, but it does not sound like him, deeper voice, deeper intonations, whole bit. And so I said, out of curiosity now, I said, who are you? Because maybe I thought he was schizophrenic and he had gotten on another personality. So I said, man, I've got, I'm thinking all these kinds of things, right? So I said, who are you? And I can't remember. He said, I don't know what he said, tell you honest God truth. He said, well, I've been with you. He said, I'm one of seven. There's seven of us that we've been watching over you since you were a child. Now, remember the voices, Greta, Greta, back at the steps, okay? So, and he said, most people only have one, but you have seven of
Oh
us.
my gosh.
And he said, so I said, well, I tested him. I said, tell me something that I did as a child that nobody else knows but me. He told me what it was. I said, oh my God. he, he was accurate. So then I believe, because nobody knows that I don't plan to tell your audience either.
Oh, keep it. You keep it.
Yeah. So, so I started just talking. And then another voice another night might come, and there was a woman was part of it. But basically, just I heard the three. I didn't go through, I didn't hear all the seven, but I knew there were seven there. And I knew they were there to protect me from any challenges that I had.
So what they did was when your husband was sleeping, they took over his body to communicate with you.
Absolutely.
And was your husband aware when he woke up in the morning this was going on?
No. When he'd wake up, I said, "This is what happened. Do you remember anything?" He'd say, "Oh, no, I don't remember anything." He doesn't, he'd never remember anything. And I was asking them all kinds of questions. I asked them, "Have you seen God?" And they very interestingly told me no. And I'm going, well, if you're, an ethereal being or something like that, so, and they would tell me things about that was going to go on. I would ask them questions, but I think I asked a lot of spiritual questions,
Yeah.
to explore what that was.
Yeah.
Um, but I never asked them what I was supposed to be doing. It never came to me to ask that question. I was
So,
just so amazed that I
that,
could communicate with them. It was just,
so this went on with your first husband.
yes, yes,
Then and so you knew that those guides were around you, they were protecting you,
yes,
whatever. And until your first husband died.
yes,
And then you married another man whilst you were there.
yes.
Did that affect in any way your spirituality?
No, not really. Because by that time, well, see, what I asked them was, um, did why am I married to Kamara?
Mhm.
Remember when you said earlier there was a reason for me coming to Africa? Okay.
Yes,
So I
yes.
said, why am I married to Kamara? And they said, you're married to Kamara because he can support us spiritually. Because he was a very strong spiritual
Yes,
person.
to
Yeah.
use those 7 books of Moses and do what he's doing spiritually, he was strong.
Yeah. So they said that um, he could support us. So that is why we're able to talk and communicate with you.
Mm.
And they are what I call today the realm of beings
Okay.
that I channel. Yeah. So now they come through me instead
Mhm.
of, you know, through
Okay.
Kamala. Hmm.
And so he's passed. Then you married a second husband. That um, that has no effect on your spirituality. He
No,
wasn't strong. So you've come over to America, and then after 3 years, so you dissolved that marriage, and then you started on your own somehow. You studied again, and when you went back to studying, what did you study?
oh, I wound up singing. Um, I needed an extra job,
Mm.
and usually I could get a singing job somewhere. But anyway, a friend of my mom's told her that at her church, which was a Science of Mind church with Ernest Holmes, he founded that type of church, and it was based in metaphysics.
Okay.
Okay, so now I went to Reverend Vera. I set up an appointment. I went to for her to interview me to see if I would fit what they needed. They needed a singer to be part of a quartet because
Okay.
one of the singers left the quartet.
Okay.
And so I sat with her. My interview must have been an hour, about an hour and a half long. And I really liked her, and she liked me. And I got up to leave. We were ending the interview, and she stopped me at the door. She said, Greta, she said, we've been talking so much, I forgot to hear you sing. Don't know if you can sing. She said, but that's all right. Go on. You know, every Sunday now, I'm sitting and listening to Reverend Vera speak of the tenets of science of mind, to speak about creation of reality, to speak on all of these issues, you know. So then I told her after 2 years of doing that, I said, I think I'd like to study the science of mind. So I put together a study group and she started teaching us. And then she said, well, Greta, I'm getting ready to move to California. So I'm going to turn you over to Claudine. She's a practitioner. Well, Claudine once had her doctorate in clinical psychology, and she was a practitioner of science of mind. She had been in that religion for quite a while. So we studied with her. So I studied Ernest Holmes, and you have to read the book twice. The first, and you spend a whole year studying it the first time. Then you go in the second year, you're studying it, the whole book again. And then after that, you move into other metaphysical books that he's written. So I was getting a lot, and it was there when one day I got to class early, maybe about after the second week, and I was sitting and I was just talking to Claudine, and she looked at me. Maybe it was the first week or so, and she said, "You know, you create your own reality."
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, "What? Are you trying to tell me that I created all of this?" And it's not appropriate to say on your show what I really said. So we'll bypass that. But I, I just couldn't believe it. What do you mean I create all my reality? You mean everything that has happened to me, I've created it? And she said, yes. It took a while for that to gel with me. Okay. In the meantime, now I'm not married to the second husband. We've already divorced.
Mhm.
I'm in my late 30s, maybe now. Um, and I just, there was no way you could tell me that. It took a while for me to really understand that. But it's such a freedom to be able to understand. Because when you understand that you create your own personal reality, then you're not stuck in it. You
No,
can you can change.
you can change and you can shift it. So with studying that now, um, is that when you started to pray for people and find that things would change for them?
No, that was before.
Ah,
Yeah, that was before. In fact, I was on my third husband by that time. That was my daughter's father. So
okay.
yeah. So by that time, I was married to my third husband, and uh, I don't think I had Kai yet. So it was in the beginning of our marriage that I went into the study of science of mind. But science of mind, then it brought me to a point where by this time I had stopped practicing Baha'ism as well.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, so I attended a conference prior to uh, I think I had done Science of Mind, and I can't even pull up his name now, but if I did, you would know who he is. I attended his lecture, and he said, I am no longer connected to a religion. I am a spiritual being. And that was when it just clicked. I said, I no longer have to embrace a religion. Period. Because with Baha'ism, I embraced all. That's
Yeah,
what easy for me to practice Islam. It was simple.
yeah,
You know, I practiced Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism, because it's just open. The
yeah.
whole thing is so,
Oh, you said Nichiren Shoshu. Did you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo?
yes.
So did I.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. In fact, the Gohonzon is up in my room now, in my
Yeah,
bed. with me. Yeah,
I'm my Hansen. But you kind of move on as you go on. You realize that you are the Hansen.
absolutely.
You are it. So you don't need that constant because you are constant.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Continue.
yeah.
We will talk again. We will talk when this is finished. Go on.
So, then I started searching out on my own because Claudine was decided to move. So she moved with her daughter. And I decided that I had studied science of mind and now I wanted what else is there? So that's when I started studying the realm of beings then, before they were called the realm of beings, would
Mm,
would feel it. I would just feel it. They said, there's a book you have to read.
mm,
I started the nearest church, but there was a Science of Mind church I could have gone to um, downtown Chicago, but it was far away from my house, and I didn't want to have to travel. I didn't want to have to pay for parking. So I
mm,
found another church run by Johnny Coleman. It was a mega church. She's a well-known. She made her transition as well. The church is still there and functioning. But I went to her church and I took my daughter to Sunday school there
mm.
that she could learn, to be open as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm,
So I started, so they had a little store. Eventually, they made it was inside the church, it was the bookstore. Eventually, the bookstore became huge in the church. But I would go in there and I'd say, Kai, I've got to find a book. And they would tell me I'd be guided. Sometimes
mm,
I'd get up and go to Sanctuary Crystals, drive to it in another town that was near, and go look for books. And how I did that, I would go through the books and just take my hand and run my hand over it. And when it would stop, that's the book I was supposed to read.
mhm,
And they were all books about existence. It's like when I was at the church with Kai, and I told her, I said, Kai, we've got to go into the bookstore. There's another book that I must read. But I couldn't find it. My daughter's very psychic as well. I couldn't find it. So she said, Mom, let me help you. She must have been about 6 years old then. And she was going through because she knew what I had to do is to go and look. So she went and looked. She says, Here it is, Mom. She took it off the shelf and brought it to me. So it was a book dealing with the Rosicrucians, which talk about, 1920s. I did a lot of studying in of the 1920s writings because it was at that time that was another spiritual awakening. They call this the New Age. This I find that fascinating because it's not new at all. It's been going on for eons.
yeah.
Um, so I started the Rosicrucians, studying their book, What Was Earth, reading all of Alice Bailey's books, reading about Blavatsky, although, I read about her life and, just learning and just studying on my own now.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was through my readings. Hmm.
So going on from there, you started to read more. You're praying. So how's that? How's and you married to your third husband? How has that brought you forward to today and what you're doing spiritually? To what you are doing today. How has that development developed for you so that you can be that transformational coach and helping people today?
By this time, um, I'm just studying on my own and still singing. My mom, when she was alive, she would play. She and I would do, and I would do the cantering, and she would be playing the music. So we did that a lot in the Catholic Church. So I was doing that. Then I was singing with Science of Mind. Then from there, I start to study on my own. And then my friend Tahuti Sema calls me. He and his wife were friends of mine. And Cecilia, who has made her transition as well, was a friend of mine. And what Tahuti calls me, Greta, I want you to meet this woman, and I want you to take this class. I think you're going to like it. And so he said, well, she's going to talk about it at the Y on 63rd Street, and I'd like you to come. It's free. So just come and listen to her. I said, okay. That was my first introduction to Dr. Irene Hickman. That change really put me on this journey. And she was an osteopathic medical doctor, a hypnotherapist, a writer in her own right. And she taught that she was well known for this. She might have been the initiator of the fact that you don't have to, if you want to work on somebody, that person doesn't have to be in front of you.
That's
They
right.
could be around the world and you could work on them. So Tahuti told me that she was the first one really to develop that. I'm sure there might have been some other people, but to me, she's my mentor. So I went with a class of 20 other people. I got there and she talked about it. Well, let me say, I listened to her introduction. I decided this was something that I needed to do. It cost $300, which would be about 600 or 700 pounds. And no, it wouldn't be 600 or 700 pounds.
It'd be half. It'd probably be half. It'd be 150 pounds.
Yeah, that's much. To me, that was a lot of money because by this time I had divorced my third husband, and I was a single mom. Okay, taking care of my kid, working 2-3 jobs, just to be able to do it. So when they said the $300 or the 150 pounds or whatever, I said, "Oh man, how am I going to pay for that?" So then I went home and I thought about it and I thought about it. I said, I've got to do this. I felt it inside. You've got to do this. So I did what is that? Pay Peter and not pay Paul?
Oh, yeah. You pinch a Peter to pay for Paul.
Right. So that's how I did it. And I got the money and I went and I took the class. The class was just 3 days. And I learned how to go remote. That was I learned how to go remote, how to do remote depossessions. She has a book that's called Depossession that she wrote. It's quite expensive now because she's dead, but you can try and get it. But it's called Depossession by Dr. Irene Hickman. She's been dead now for about maybe 15 years now, 20 years, because I've been doing this work now for over 40 years. So it was so funny because she showed us and she talked to us about what we were going to do. She said, now it's time to do it for everybody to practice. And she had divided us up into groups of 5 people, 4 groups of 5 people. So who was going to be the one that was going to volunteer to put this into practice? But see, she taught us that to work with another person. And you'd go down into trance, they count you down to 25, they tell you where you had to go and what you had to do when you got there. But that was that person doing that. So everybody in my group, we all looked at each other. Nobody wanted to go first. Nobody. But here comes Greta.
Greta
Curious.
to the rescue. Up there, I'll do it.
Yes, exactly what I said. I said, okay, I'll go. So they took me down, and I was going to work on the gentleman who was taking me down wanted us to work on his son. So I said, okay. So once I got down there and he told me where to go, I was I found myself standing in a hallway of his apartment building. And I looked around and I said, good God Almighty, I am in a hallway. And so he said, do you see his apartment door? And I walked over and I said, yes. He said, well, you've got to go in, Greta. I said, I've got to go in. I said, oh, yeah, I do have to go in because I got to see. So, you walk right through the door. You don't have to worry about opening it up anymore. So I walk through the door and I'm in the apartment and I see all these black. I mean, literally black, the color black.
Ooh.
Individuals taller than me walking around in his apartment.
Ooh.
And I said, okay. And here's little old me with them. And I'm going, oh my God. So he said, well, Greta, you got to move them because she taught us how to move the entities. You know,
Yeah.
that's what it was about.
Yeah,
So,
because these entities were probably possessing the son, and that's why he wasn't well. Am I
right.
correct?
Yeah. And they were walking around the house. I don't even, there was quite a few of them. But anyway, I moved him out, did what I was supposed to do for him. And then I said, okay, I'm through. And they brought me, they brought
Right.
me, he brought me back. Yeah. So I practiced that, where somebody had to come and tell you what to do. So I was doing depossession work.
Mm.
Depossession work, and see, my work has grown now. It's really grown because what happened is that one night I got a call from a friend of mine who said his father was going into the hospital, was having a heart attack. Greta, can you help my father? Because he knew I did the work. But see, I
Mm.
was doing the work with another person taking me down. This is
Mm.
like 12 o'clock midnight or 11 o'clock at night, and there's
Mm.
nobody around to help me. But I said, man, I want to help Andy's father. You know?
Mm.
So I called Tahuti Sema late at night, and he answered the phone. I said, Tahuti, I don't have anybody to take me down, but I've got to go and help Andy's father. I said, how do I do this by myself? And he said, do this. And I wrote it all down, step by step, what I had to do. So I took myself down. I followed, okay, step one, take yourself down. I did that. Step two, this is what you have to do because you got to protect yourself as well.
Exactly.
Step four. So then I found myself in the hospital room with Andy's father. And then I worked on his heart and came back, and his father did fine.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And this is the work you're still doing today?
Yes, but what happens with that is that the realm, now we come back with the realm of beings.
Yeah.
They've never left me. Okay. They're constantly with me. And so then, well, see, let me backtrack. I had to learn, like if I go down into trance, you have to bring yourself back up out of it. I would forget to bring myself back up out of it. So I learned that. I said, man, oh, I'm getting a headache. Oh, my head hurts. Why am I getting a headache? Because I don't usually get headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, I said, oh, doggone it. I forgot to bring myself back out of it. Right. Because by this time now, I'm working on my own. I don't need a person to bring me down or up. I'm doing it on my own. And so then I said, then another person would, the clientele, I call them participants, and I'll tell you why in a minute, grew. People started coming Greta, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So I started having, sometimes I'd have one person right after the other. But see, the way I had been trained, you go into trance, you come out of trance every time. And then you go back into trance, you come out after.
Exactly.
I got tired of doing that. So I said, this is really getting very, very ridiculous for me to keep coming in and out. I said, I've got to learn how to stay in, and not get the headaches. Hold the energy, because it's energy. Hold the energy and not worry about it. So now I started just staying. Like right now, you're talking to me, I'm in trance. I stay in trance all the time. I never come out anymore. So
Okay.
I've been in trance now for over 35 years and don't come out. Yeah, I've never come out since.
Okay, so to present day, do you work one to one? Do you work with groups? How do people connect with you? And but before I say that, what do people generally come to you to
Or
help for and to help? Yes, to
they
for with.
they come to me with diseases, such as, you name it. I've probably done it. Um, so they come for diseases. They come because they're having challenges. They want to increase their prosperity. They come if they feel that someone in their family is possessed or they're possessed. They come if they want me to, something's going on in their house. They see things in their house, so they want me to come in and clean out their houses.
Okay.
Come to me if they are business people and they want to increase their business to make it expansive, or maybe the business is not doing very well. They come to me for work on that. That's about what, 6 things right there.
Okay, so it's practically anything that people have a problem with and that they want guidance and help with, because sometimes we have a problem, we don't know how to go about it. We need somebody to look on why is this happening, what can I do? So that's the kind of thing, and from there you probably go in and see what you can do to change the situation.
Right. And see, the realm of beings, I always tell people, the realm of beings do the work. I'm just a conduit for
That's
them.
right.
So I do it, and then, see, my work is divided up into 3 phases, my life. The first phase is to promote creation of reality, that everybody creates their own reality, regardless if you believe it or not. It's went on. The second part is the transformational healing. But I'm not a healer, and neither is the realm of beings. We are not healers, because what we do is support people to heal themselves. Sure, we might put energy in your body, but you're the one that's going to use that energy to heal your challenge. It's not us. Some people said, "You're a healer, Greta." I said, "Absolutely not." That's why we call the people that work with us participants. I don't call them clients. We don't call them patients, participants, because we're participating with you for you
Yeah.
to actually do the healing. And then the third part is the cosmos. When you say, so I work with, I've facilitated for other individuals who are not humanoid. So I have tasks that I'm given that are off world. So I do all 3 things. So when you say, do I work with, people? It doesn't matter. I can work with billions of people at the same time. It does not matter. Yeah.
No, great. So, but before I come to the end part to ask you how people connect with you, just one thing. You just said that you are not a healer. You can open up the energy field and give it to people, but it's down to us to use that energy to heal ourselves. So what just trying to say, we have the ability to heal ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
I know that. I wanted to say that for people to hear. We can heal ourselves. We were built to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Greta, how can somebody contact you? How can we reach out to you if they need help?
Um, well, our website is we're getting a new website, so that's not available at this point. But basically, we're on, we put shorts, we have a YouTube channel.
Mhm,
Some people will go Dr. Greta,
mhm,
you know, and or on YouTube, you can put in my name in the search box and say Greta Chamberlain.
mhm.
Like if you want to listen to the album that we created, would be Greta Chamberlain in Silence. Or if you want to see the shorts, Greta Chamberlain shorts. And then the shorts will all come up because they're the teachings of the realm of beings. And they're 2-minute shorts. We teach different things.
So
Mhm.
we won't say Dr. Greta, we'll just say Greta Chamberlain Shorts.
Yeah. Or you could say Greta Chamberlain in Silence.
Okay.
Because we used to do a podcast. I don't do the podcast anymore as of September of last year. We did it for about 5 years.
Yes.
And then we stopped because we're doing other things, because we're going to do a second album in June. We're going to be, and we're Grammy considered. Our album made it to be Grammy considered. Not,
Oh, lovely.
yeah, it didn't make it to the be nominated, but we did make it to stage 2. We made it past stage 1, and we were in stage 2, so we're
That
Grammy considered.
that is wonderful. So, Greta, before I say thank you, because I know you asked me how long are we? I said, well, it depends. It could be. We've actually gone to an hour, and
Wow.
and it hasn't seen. Actually, I think it's just over an hour, and this is why I say 30, 40 minutes. But it depends, and there's so much, and understanding the person's life, understanding their journey and what it did, and how it take for people to see that there's so many people out there that need to hear that, and somebody's probably like you doesn't know, and having to say to them, it's okay, listen to your inner self, it will guide you. Like you're reading a book, you have to read a book. So everything is guided from within when you're connected to source,
Yeah.
because what we are created for.
I'd like to give you my telephone number too that I work from.
Please.
And
Mhm.
because I've had people in the UK that I've facilitated for. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. It's 773
Yes.
633
Yes.
1069. But if they want to work with me, text me. Text.
Mhm.
Uh, People in the UK we would talk over WhatsApp.
That's right. I was going to say, put this in and we should get up the WhatsApp.
Yes, yes. So
Great.
they need to down that thing, and they can tell me that they saw me on your show and they'd like to talk to me. So text me because a lot of times I'm going from one person to the other, so I won't be able to stop and have a
Mm.
conversation with you. So that's the phone I use for my work. So yes,
So I repeat that again. It's 773-633-1069. And of course, you're in America, so it's +1, which is in
right,
your
right.
coding. Okay. So, Greta, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. And before I say thank you and goodbye, can you leave us with a nugget or two of advice for those who are listening, who are going through their journey?
I'm going to read for you just one quote from the realm of beings from the album that we have. It's the first piece was called In Silence, as well as the album.
Mhm.
But it says, in the silence of your mind, see the trueness of the spirit that abides deep inside of your inner being.
Yeah.
So leave everybody with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take time out to be still.
Yes.
Take time out to be still and call on the light, the creator, to make sure that you're not calling on any dark entities, that and ask for that protection from the creator of unconditional love, of the creator of all creation that is, that was, and ever shall be. Always remember that, because there are entities going around, and sometimes you're doing that and they like to pop in, just as the man's son, who's, when you went there, they had all these dark. So sometimes he unwittingly has opened something to allow these dark entities to come in, and then they start to do their nonsense. So always when you're doing any work, call on the God of all creation, of unconditional love, of all that was, is, and ever shall be. And that you work with them, you work with that creation, through that for that creation, and by that creation, and you are one.
Absolutely.
Okay, Greta, I say thank you so much. It's been very enlightening. And don't go anywhere, because we're going to be talking when we finish. But to all those who have been listening, thank you for joining us. You have Greta's contact. We have done the telephone number. When I send this out, it will be there in the write-up anyway. So wherever you are, thank you everybody for coming in today. And Greta, thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank
So
you.
everyone, bye for now.